Hello and welcome to an update of the mating game. So what I've done here is I've taken the lid off of the blue worm bin and I removed carefully some of the very top material. I put it in this cup and I made sure that there are no cocoons and there are no worms in there. And we are going to start our counting process. I was waiting for my little manual tally, but they told me that it may arrive in July, and I just don't want to keep this experiment going through July. And I think there's more than enough worms in here to keep me busy along with the other 3 bins. So we are going to start counting them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this outside in the daylight because it will be much easier for me to spot wisps and cocoons. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start counting. I'm going to put the worms as I count them out into the cup here, and then I will put these guys into my blue only worm bin that I have going separately from this experiment, and I will let you know what the count is in this bin. So let me do that and I'll come back and tell you what the number is. Okay guys, so we're back. It took me about an hour and a half to count these guys out. Finally, I'm done. There's nothing left here. So, would you like to take a guess at the number? Well, I was actually surprised myself. A little bit, not too much. I have from 5 mature blue worms, we have 504. That's 504. I would not have guessed that either. But here they are, fast little suckers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these guys in my blue worm bin, and I'm going to go ahead and count the red wigglers. Okay, so here's our red wiggler bin, and I'm going to do the same thing in this bin as I did with the blue worms. I'm going to just take a little bit of material off the top, making sure I'm not getting any worms, so that when I start counting them out, they can have something to go to the bottom to keep them covered, since I am taking them into the sunlight. And we don't want them to be too stressed. Okay, let me take this outside and we'll start the counting of our red wigglers. Okay guys, so we're back with the red wiggler bin. I just got through counting that. And a little surprise actually. But first I wanted to show you, do you see all these cocoons up here? I put them on top once I knew that there were no more worms in the bin. I started taking out the cocoons, and there's a ton of cocoons. Something actually that I didn't see in the blue worm bin. I looked for them, I just didn't see them. So I'm wondering if they were finished reproducing. But these guys have a ton of cocoons. So, would you care to guess the number of worms that I had in the red wiggler bin? I was actually surprised. Guys, I have 504 254 worms. Now, I don't know who can beat that. Normally, I would have guessed that the blue worms would have come in first, but maybe it was because we started the experiment in the winter time, although my basement is climate controlled. I don't know, but yeah, they actually outperformed the blue worms. Okay, so I'm going to put these guys in the red wiggler only bin, and we're going to go over to the European Nightcrawlers. So here we have our European Nightcrawler bin. It's nice and bright already, fairly hot, and we're going to do, oh wow, I see a cocoon right off the bat there. Nice large cocoon. So these guys are still laying cocoons as well. And the material, here's another one I'm thinking. I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah. So these guys are still laying cocoons too. And the material is really worked over beautifully. I mean, oh, here's another one. Here's another cocoon. I don't know if you can see that. Wow, very nice. Okay, so I'm going to get our cup ready. I'm going to remove some of the material into here from the very top. I'm going to make sure that I don't get any cocoons in here. And we are going to start counting these guys out. The nice thing about the African crawlers and the European night crawlers is that they are a larger worm, so it's going to be much easier for me to see them, because the blue worms were, oh wow, it was just so hard, and I was going over and over the material. See, here's a baby, but we're not taking you guys out yet. Just making sure that we don't have any cocoons or baby worms. Oh, there's another cocoon. It's going to go back. I'll count cocoons last. Okay, so let's get this started, and I'll come back and tell you the number. Okay guys, we're finally finished here. I got all of the European Nightcrawlers out. It took me forever because there were a ton of babies, a ton, I mean wisps, like maybe 3-4 day old, just a bunch of them, and a ton of cocoons. So I left the cocoons here. I was cooking out there in the sun. I just couldn't take it anymore. I got all the worms out. And I would have not guessed in a million years. And if all of my viewers would have taken a guess, we still would have all been wrong. So who wants to guess how many European Nightcrawlers I have from 5 mature worms? Well guys, oops. They're not happy with me right now, I can tell you. But I want you to take a look at this. 601, guys. 601. I mean, here they are breaking all the rules. We're told that they reproduce slower than the red wigglers and the blue worms. Well, they proved me wrong. Of course, there are a ton of babies, just teeny tiny things, but I counted them as well. After all, they're the future generation, right? But I mean, and plus a ton of cocoons. I'm so sorry, but my phone is overheating because I kept it in the sun. So I put these guys back, and the next one we're going to go with is going to be our African Nightcrawlers. So let me cool the phone off, and we will count these guys out. Okay, so we are done. Oh gosh, I can't believe that I actually counted all of those worms. So the material is very moist, and it was a little bit of a challenge to get these guys out of here. But they're all out. I found some cocoons as well. So was happy about that. And quite a few cocoons actually. Now, these guys came in at $402. So obviously, they're in last place. But considering, let me just plop them all back here. I'm not going to stress them out too much. Considering that this experiment started with only 5 mature worms in each bin, I say they did very, very well. But they are in last place. So I want to thank everybody who has been watching these videos. And if you're new and you haven't caught up with this experiment, you can do some binge watching. Click on the mating game and watch all the episodes. Watch how we started with a little hiccup when I lost the first batch of worms, and the progression. So we have our first place, second place, third place, and fourth place, and they're all winners in my eyes. But I am very surprised that the European Nightcrawlers did the best. And I would have never thought that that would be the case. Everything that I have been, everything that I've read and I've heard is that it's the red wigglers as well as the blue worms, the perionyx. I'm going to give these guys a little bit of food. They're like probably so upset at me right now. I'm just going to cover them back up. I don't know what to do with these guys just yet, so they're going to go right back into their original bin. But I've had fun with this experiment, and I hope you did too. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you at the next experiment.